Hello, beautiful teachers, and welcome back to another Vibrant Music Teacher Chat. This is the weekly show here on YouTube where we talk about the latest goings on in the music teaching industry and dive into a special topic. And today's topic is kind of extra special because we're reflecting on the past year. So this is the final show of 2022, but really you can do these reflection questions at any time, and I hope they'll give you inspiration to take a moment to take stock. For me personally, I can't set goals or think about what's to come next year until I've really taken a moment to just go, okay, what happened this year? and really digest it. So I hope these questions get you started with that, so that maybe in the new year you can set your goals or your aspirations or your dreams for the universe about the year to come, whether they're big or small. So I've got 8 questions for you, and I'm going to give you my answers, and I want you to come up with your answers and put them in the comments as well, because this isn't really about my experience, it's about giving you inspiration for your own reflection, and hopefully I'll do that with my answer to these questions. Before we get into the 8 questions, there's 2 little things I wanted to mention to you. So the first one is that we have a new challenge coming up in the new year. Now it's in mid-January, so it's like after you've gotten back into teaching and, things have calmed down a bit and you're in mid-January slump. Well, that would be the perfect time to do this challenge with us. It's called It's Your Studio, and it's all about really this kind of stuff, reflecting on your studio, where it is, where you want it to be, and what you want for your business, for your teaching life. Because it's not about what other people think you should be doing, it's about what you think you should be doing and what's going to make you truly happy, satisfied. So that is a free challenge. It's coming up on January 16th. I popped the link in the comments for those watching live, and it is also in the description if you're watching this later as well. And then I've got one more link to share with you, and that is to our survey. And we just had a question. Whoops. I'm having trouble copying that link from there. Let me copy it from here. Okay, this is the link to our survey, and this is running. We just had a question there about how long to complete it. It is running all the way through January, but you know how these things are. You just keep meaning to do it, and if you don't do it the first time you're told about it or the second time, you tend not to do it. And this survey is not one of those, hey, give us all your thoughts so we can come up with products for you surveys. No, it's not that. It's for our music teaching industry report. So if you haven't seen this before, it is an epic report that we put together. Our last one was put together towards the end of 2021, and we're doing this one at the start of 2023 to update things, see where things are at, and hopefully get even more data this time. So the report is only as good as the survey, and we need loads of people to fill it in, and especially people that don't watch this show, that don't read our blog, that aren't in direct contact with us, because we want this to be broad. So if you are in a music teacher association, if you have music teaching friends, if you can share it with like an alumni group or any other group that you're in, I would love that so much. Please copy the link. The estimated completion time is about 7 minutes. So it's not enormous. Now it may take you longer if you take your time to look up the numbers and things like that. But I will say that you can learn a lot from it because it'll force you to look at some of your numbers, and others who have completed it in previous years have told me that it was actually really fun to fill out because it made you reflect on your studio. So it's a great time to do it now as we talk about reflection. So if you can go to that link, and it is in the description as well as the chat there, and fill that out yourself. You only need to do it once, and now would be a great time, or after this show. And then please send it to your music teaching friends. I really want to blow our previous number of respondents out of the water so that we can get an amazing cross-section of the industry around the world, because that's what that report is all about. And then we put it together into a beautiful report. If you haven't seen them before, they are so interesting, so fun to read. And I put that all together myself, with all the graphs and the fun charts and everything like that to help you see what's going on with our industry, because we are so disparate, we're so separated from each other, and cluing into what other people are doing can help you feel better about what you're doing, get inspiration, etc. So do fill out the survey and do send it to others, please, please, please. And with that, let's take some time to take stock of 2022 and reflect on a few questions. Here's the first one. What is one new thing you tried in 2022? Simple question. Let's start with that. What's one new thing? It doesn't have to be a great thing. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. What is one new thing you tried in your studio, in your teaching life, in your business, in your music? Maybe you tried performing somewhere you never have before. It really could be anything new. Please do add your comment on one new thing you've tried. Mine, to give you some inspiration, is our Halloween piano party, Halloween performance party, really, that we did this year. So I've never done a recital or anything like that around Halloween before, and I decided to do it. This was an informal party environment where parents and kids and their siblings came with them to this party. We had party games going on. We had biscuits. Those are always the most popular. Biscuits means cookies, by the way, if you're not familiar with that. And we had kids playing. And we did it even more. I've done one of these type of parties before, which was in Christmas in 2019, before everything went kablam. So this was our first time doing one again since that, and we did it for Halloween instead. And I took it an even more relaxed approach this time. Like, I had a set list of students to play, but I more used that to keep track of whether students had been asked if they wanted to play, and if they didn't want to play in the end, fine. If they wanted to wait until after someone else, fine. One kid went up probably 20 times to play different things and that was great too. So it was a completely different thing for us, and we've never done that time of year, and we haven't done a party just like that either, so that was brand new for me. So let me know what was new for you. Nice, Carrie made Rhythm Railroad and Reading Railroad a regular part of lessons each week. I've gotten a lot better at making Rhythm Railroad and Solfa Railroad a regular part. Reading Railroad is more selective on the students that I use it with, but yeah, it's a great habit to be in. No more 30-minute lessons. Oh my gosh, I love that. Actually, that's something else new that we added in to our policies, is I changed the way we worded that. So we already really discourage 30-minute lessons, but it now says that they're only for adult students on ours. Because occasionally we do have adults who really just need to check in each week. Maybe they've taken lessons with us before, or they've taken lessons for years and years, and they really just want a weekly commitment and a check-in, and that's really the only circumstance where 30 minutes is enough, in my view. Oh, you lost no students. I absolutely love hearing that. That's awesome. That's always people's fear with these types of changes. Making sure to include specific practice strategies in each lesson. Nice. Well done. And Kelly said, this past year I said no. I didn't accompany solo contest in spring. Felt a bit guilty, but it was so much more relaxed. Yes, you don't have to do these things, right? If it doesn't work for your schedule, for your teaching performance mix, don't do it. Don't be guilted into things. Great question there for Carrie. Yeah, I'd be curious what difference you're seeing as well. Okay, so that's my first question. Don't know why that popped up. That's my first question for you. What is one new thing you tried in 2022? And maybe you can further reflect on that and see, is it something I want to do again? Is it something that wants to become a regular part of my schedule? Is it something I tried and learned something from, but I'm never going to do again? For the Halloween party for me, I'm undecided on that. I don't know if it's going to be an every year thing for us or a sometimes thing. It's definitely not something I never want to do again. I think it was a great opportunity. And I do think the Halloween timing kind of worked. So it might be something we make a regular part of our year, but that's something I can keep thinking about all the way to next summer when I have to make the call and put it on the calendar. Or not. Okay, here is your next question. What is one thing you're proud of from this year? Okay, so I went easy on you. I didn't make you answer this first. We started with just one new thing. Anything could be a success or a learning opportunity, not a failure. But what's one thing you're proud of? Something you did, something you changed, something you achieved, anything. Can be literally anything. Just name one thing you're proud of yourself for doing or saying no to or altering in some way. My thing that I'm proud of, and I am really proud of this, is that from September onwards, I no longer worked on Mondays, and that was a big change for me. I have been really reducing gradually, and this isn't the right approach for everyone, by the way, I'm not giving you a tutorial here, but for me it was the right choice to gradually reduce my Monday hours until last year I only had one student and this show on Mondays, and I had no other work, and I was kind of taking the Monday mornings off and then just working in the afternoon. But this year, after many years of reducing this and going this direction, I've started taking Mondays off. Now, the reason that was so important is I work Saturdays. So I was working a 6-day week and now I'm down to 5 days. And honestly, that feels great for me. That's a really good balance for me and the other things I have in my life, right? Because I don't have a lot of outside commitments that really 2 days off a week feels like enough for me right now. Won't always maybe, but it does right now. My brother though was laughing at me because I mentioned that to him recently. I hadn't told him that before. And he said everyone else he knows is trying to go down to four days or 3 days. And here I am boasting about going down to 5. But still, for me, it was an accomplishment. So I'm proud of it. So what are you proud of? Motif Music Studio said, I'm proud of taking risks with starting a YouTube channel and slowly taking action and adding more enjoyment to my own playing and exploring resources. Nice. Great job. That's so cool. Tanya said, I'm proud that I've kept my boundary for when I'm going to teach. Yes, sticking to when you're going to teach. I mean, I had to do that as part of my Mondays off goal because I did have, one student anyway, that I would have continued teaching. They were like primarily my student. I wasn't just having them for buddy time and the other teacher had them for their solo time. They were really primarily my student. And I just could not fit them in my schedule. And I really agonized over it, even though I knew they would be lovely about it. I would be passing them off to another teacher who worked here, right? Not just abandoning them, but passing them off to another teacher who worked here, who would be delighted to teach them. Agonized over it during the summer, emailed them. Of course, they just said, okay, no problem. I'll miss you working with you, but I'm sure the other teacher will be great. And they're actually getting along really well. And I think the other teacher is a slightly better fit than I ever was anyway. But it's hard. It's hard to let go of these things, hard to keep your boundaries around those teaching hours, which is why you have to write them down first, in my view. Or like if you have an Excel spreadsheet, for example, to plan out your timetable, that you set it up first with the breaks in place or with only these hours showing, and you don't just sort of gradually creep outside of that. Like you don't just move back your starting time to 2:45 and then 2:30 and then 2, or forwards from 6 to 6:30 and then 7, and then suddenly you're working until 9 o'clock at night, and it's too much. Okay, Carrie said, I'm proud of myself for prioritizing my time for myself as a teacher and more time for professional development. I actually made it to our state conference this year. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Okay, so keep letting me know what you're proudest of from this year. Or, no, not what you're proudest of. What's one thing that you're proud of? I did word it that way on purpose because I find when we add ests to things, we make things superlatives, it can be like kind of, it can kind of freeze us, right? Whereas if you just say one thing you're proud of, it can be anything. It can be that you made marshmallow Rice Krispies and they were great. You know, it doesn't have to be something epic. Okay, your next question. Which day of the week do you enjoy the most right now? Now, this might seem like a weird one, but it's something that has taught me a lot if I keep asking this question. So I really mean which day of your teaching week or your working week do you enjoy the most? And maybe the least as well. I think this can tell you a huge amount. So if you have a certain day of the week when you teach a class of preschoolers and that's your favorite day, that tells you something. If you have a day when you have no breaks, that's your least favorite day, well, there's a reason for that. And you need to work, make steps, make a plan for how you're going to change that. You can't just cut someone out of your schedule mid-year probably, but you can resolve to not let it happen again. So this is mid-year, at least for me. If you're watching a different part of the world, it might be different. But for me, I would only make these changes in the summer. But you need to notice them now so that you can start to put those wheels turning, right? So, yeah. What is your favorite day of the week right now in your teaching week? And what's your least favorite day? It can tell you a lot. What I really enjoyed on reflecting on this question this year for me, and it's been very different in previous years, but this year, I honestly had trouble picking a favorite day. And I think that's a really good sign because my week feels a lot more balanced than it used to. I don't have one day where I really had to go to the limits of my minimum break requirements. All of my days have a slightly more relaxed teaching pace than they used to. And that's great. For me, anyway. I had to pick Wednesdays as my favorite day, partially because of this show. I really enjoy hanging out with all of you. And I do have actually only an hour and a half of teaching because I save the evening for like coaching calls and masterclasses and things like that. So generally Wednesdays are a pretty light day, and I also have really lovely students. Now I have lovely students every day, so it was very hard to choose. But yeah, let me know when your favorite day is and when is your least favorite. And it doesn't have to be the students. Like, it could be that you have preschoolers that day and it makes it really draining or really energizing. It could be that on one particular day you have a parent who is really difficult and maybe they talk to you too much in the doorway, they won't leave, or they always have some question about billing or something, and it just makes you have a knot in your stomach all morning. You can fix that. You have to resolve that situation. You don't have to sit with it. But unless you investigate it, and actually, for once again, for the billionth time, I'm going to recommend an episode of Christina Whitlock's podcast that I was listening to just the other day. I think it's the newest one, where she talked about saying it out loud. I think it's the latest one. If you look up Beyond Measure podcast with Christina Whitlock. So she talked about saying it out loud. And that's partially what these questions are about as well. If you say out loud to yourself or write in the chat, I hate Mondays because XYZ, it makes you say, hey, I could probably do something about that. But if you just walk around with this feeling in your stomach every Monday, it's miserable. But you have to take the time to investigate why it's miserable. So let me see. Carrie, least favorite day is Friday because it's so long. Yes. Okay, so don't let that happen again next year. I know it's hard to fit everything in. I know it is. But if you have these rules, that's what I've found to work best for me anyway. Let me see. Tanya said I enjoyed Tuesdays the most. I've come to realize it has to do with who my students are and the hours I teach. Yeah. Sort of being in your zone of genius or teaching those students that you love to teach. And it doesn't have to be an age group. Like, so that's often the simplest example I can give. But you can identify other traits that your students share. Like, oh, these are all my quiet students. It just happened that on Wednesdays I have all my quiet students. Not true for me, but maybe it's true for you and you enjoy that more or less, right? Ask yourself, what is it that makes this day feel better than the others? Let me see. Mondays are epically long. I actually love it the most as I teach 13 students that day, and it's a split shift for the first time in 25 years. Nice to enjoy the break in the middle of the day. Exactly. Nice. Yeah, Fridays in general can be tough. Students are more tired a lot of the time. I actually have a lot of teenagers scheduled on Fridays these days. It worked out that way, that they had that availability, and I do think it tends to work out better. A lot of parents want to keep Fridays free for play dates in primary school, but then as teenagers they're more relaxed. Like, they can still go out after their piano lesson. If they're an older teenager, they can still go to the cinema later, and they don't tend to be as completely zonked. Sometimes they are if there's like exams on and stuff, but yes. Okay, that's question number 3. So let's move on to number 4. What surprised you this year? What surprised you? Very vague question, but really think back on it. What surprises did you have? I'll give you my example on this one, and it is really related to my answer to the last question, and that's that I'm enjoying the current balance of students I have. It's not a huge shocker of a surprise. Like, I did think this timetable would work fairly well, but it's working really well this year. Better than I even would have expected, and I am down to the lowest number of students that I've had since, about 10 years, something like that. Because I do have other teachers working for me, I have a lot of other responsibilities, and I would have, if you asked me before September started, I might have thought, is this going to feel like too few? I mean, it's still substantial. It's still like 20 something. But I might have thought, is this going to feel like too few? Or do I not have enough of a mix? Because it just worked out that this year I have no adults. And I actually have no little ones either, even though I'm sort of known for teaching little ones. At least a lot of you who first found me like in 2017, that was a lot of what I talked about. Because I taught a lot of preschoolers, and we still teach a lot of preschoolers here, but they tend not to be my students now because I have gradually reduced, and that means I've kept my students I already had, right? I didn't add on new students. I've added one this year. That's the first new student I've had in a long time, because it works out that way. So I happen not to have any little ones. In fact, the other day, last week, it occurred to me, hey, I have a pedal extender in my teaching room, and there's no pedal extender in the other teaching room, and that's backwards, because I haven't used it this year. I mean, duh, right? But it just didn't occur to me. So I took it into the other room, showed all the other teachers how to use it. We already had footstools in there, obviously, but not a proper pedal extender. And so took it in there, taught them how to use it, because they have all the little ones. I don't have them anymore, or at least not this year. Carrie, I'm always surprised when I make a change in my studio and the parents are so supportive. That's lovely. Most of the time they don't even question it. I had a great group. I guess I shouldn't be so surprised. Yeah, but it is, because we agonize it over it so much. And for them, sometimes it's just like oh, great. You know, it's not a huge blip on their radar, and that can be really wonderful. Let me see. Wonderful surprise that so many of my students stuck with me, staying fully online, and price increase too. Yeah. Big surprise for lots of teachers, but again, not that uncommon, actually. Okay. So, next question. We need to keep moving because I got 8 of these. Right. So, what is giving you energy at the moment? What is it that when you do it, you feel like you've more energy than when you started? This is the question I try to ask myself really often, actually. Not just with my teaching, but with my work in general. So my example for you is that at the moment when I examine this myself, the thing that still makes me feel energized and like I have a lot more to give after I finished it is making games and making courses for vibrant music teaching. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy all the other things I do. I enjoy teaching, but it takes energy from me. It doesn't make me feel more energized because I am an introvert, and hanging out with people is always going to draw energy from my stores, right? Whereas sitting at a computer making games, while I can't do it all the time and it wouldn't be energizing if I did, when I get to do that, it feels like it just feels like being in flow, and yeah, when I finish I have so much more energy. So what is that for you? What is it that makes you feel more energized when you finish it? Energized by all the wonderful composers I've met this year. Nice, yes. Coffee. Yeah, I was thinking of tasks that you do, because there's some work that energizes and some that depletes, right? Laughing and having fun in lessons. Yes, I love that answer. Oh yes, taking lessons yourself. I'm sure that's really energy giving for sure. Okay, accompanying this question then is my next question, which is what's taking the most energy? So across the last year, what has taken the most energy from me? Honestly, it's been the scale sync videos. So if you remember, you'll know what these are. They're videos of me playing scales. And they're just playing scales, right? But they take a long time. They take a lot of energy. That doesn't mean they're something I want to quit doing, because I think they're worth it. I want them to exist, and I have that drive pushing me forward. But the actual act of doing them, it does take a ton of energy, and I do feel not zapped after it, but I can't do large chunks of it. I have had to break it up more and more. And that's reality. And if I recognize that, I can break it up more and just resign myself to having the same colors on my fingernails for however many weeks I'm working on them, rather than trying to blast through them in like 2 days through a full set just so that I don't have to reapply nail polish. I mean, that sounds ludicrously stupid, but that is what I was thinking before, and I've discovered that's not the best approach. So, silly little thing. It's not a huge, I mean, it is a substantial part of my year, but it's not like it's something I do every week or anything. But it's little things like that you have to recognize and saying, how can I manage this better? Well, first of all, is it worth me doing this? Which in this case, it is. It is worth me doing this. I believe they should exist. But then number 2 comes, which is, how can I make it less of a draw from my energy stores? How can I make it, and this feels more manageable? So that's something I've had to manage for myself. So what doesn't give you energy? What takes it away? This year, it's definitely just trying to keep the ship afloat with the other teachers and pivoting in new seasons. Yeah, all the management stuff, basically, is what I'm hearing from that. Practicing. I'm not sure if that gives energy or takes it away. I'm going to choose to believe it gives. Trying to communicate. Yeah, communication can be a big energy suck, right? Have boundaries. It was worth doing, but can be tough. So what ways can we manage that better? That would be my question. Dealing with difficult students. Yes, very draining. Replying to parents who didn't read my emails. Right. Could you set up a system where they're reminded, where they get the same email or a slightly different version of the same email several times? That's what I found to be better for me. Like, following up with parents is really annoying, but I try to at least reduce it by reminding them 3 times spaced a week out of the action they have to take. And then I have to manually follow up, like via text or an email that doesn't go out to a group or whatever, to try and really get them nailed in. But reminding them 3 times first, or asking them and then reminding twice, does work for me. Okay. Great. I have 2 questions left. Here comes the next one. What do you want more of in 2023? What do you want more of? What is already in your life, but it's not enough of it? Maybe it's time with family, maybe it's tennis. I mean, it literally can be anything. My answer to this is dancing. And accompanying that, laughter. Laughter was actually my thing for 2022, and I did achieve it. I made an effort to have more times to laugh, because it just 2021, it was just so hard because we were so not in company that I felt like, geez, I'm just not laughing as often as I used to, and that's not good for my health. So 2022, that was my seemingly silly but actually really important for mental health goal. But to further amplify this year, I need to find a way to start dancing again. and not on my own. I do dance for myself, but no, I need to find a way to bring dancing back into my life. So for those of you who don't know this, I did dancing all the way through my childhood into my early 20s. I actually did Irish dancing that whole time, and I did various other forms of dancing as well, jazz and tap and modern styles, etc. And ballroom, actually, when we were getting ready for our wedding, that was great too. I'll do any kind of dancing. I just love it. However, my most recent form of dancing was set dancing, which you might know as being like a ceilidh. So like group Irish dances that are very easy to learn and just fun to do. And I was going to this class to do set dancing with my mum. We went together. She was my partner in the dancing. Worked for us. Anyway, that dancing class that we had been attending actually shut down just a couple of months before COVID hit. Not related to COVID, but because of the rising insurance rates. I don't know if that's even a thing outside of Ireland, but it's been a problem the last few years. So the guy running it, lovely guy, his insurance went through the roof and he just couldn't make the numbers work anymore and it wasn't worth it to him. So he cancelled that class, and then COVID hit and there was no possibility of finding a new class. I know we're talking about piano teaching here. I hope that you don't mind this digression, but it might help you think through, like, what is it that I lost? Maybe through the pandemic, like me. So yeah, there was no real way to find a different dancing class during COVID, and it just didn't happen. And so it's been a couple of years now, and I need to find a way to dance again. I need a dancing class of some form, or like a dancing meetup thing, but classes are usually easier to find. So I need to get on that. That's one of my weekend research projects for this week, is to find out where and what. Yeah. Carrie would like more time to read. Great goal. I've been really good at reading this year, and it's made a big difference to just how diverse, I guess, my life feels. I can get really tunnel visioned, so reading helps broaden that and, keep you going into different worlds and things. So definitely a great goal. Dance digression, yeah. Feels like I should be dancing while I do it. But anyway, Tanya also needs more time to read. Love that. Insurance is actually up here too. Yeah, interesting. Venues are really upping their requirements too. Yeah, probably due to COVID. But like I said, this was a problem that came in actually in 2019 in general, was when insurance just started being astronomical and ridiculous for everything. Cars, public liability, everything. More time to focus and to compose. I love that. Music Kitchen, I've forgotten your real name. You can tell me it again. But if you're, so I'm curious to follow up with you about something if you're doing lots of composing projects. Kelly, like to take more walks. Yes, I take a walk almost every single day with my husband and my dog, and it's great. So I highly recommend that too. I feel like I'm just cheerleading the two things that I already do, which is reading and walking. And I need to get into dancing, but I'm happy to cheerlead any reading and walking efforts because I think they're great standard hobbies to have. Okay, beautiful. So, last question. You ready? Will your studio look the same this time next year? So this is my only question that is really 2023 focus, so I put it at the end. Will it look exactly the same this time next year or not? For me, for the first time in, again, probably 10 to 15 years, it actually might. I'm actually at a point now where I think, another year with roughly the same as what we have now, I'd say so. This year I still had to reduce some of my teaching hours. Now I'm at a really good place with those. I don't feel yet. Again, I have until summer to make these decisions. But at the moment, I'm feeling pretty good with where we're at. I don't want to hire more teachers. I don't want to have, because that would mean a new outside venue. Don't want that. Yeah, there's very little that I want to change right now, which feels, good, but I know it won't last forever. Just because I think it'll be the same in 2023 to 2024 doesn't mean that I'm done growing or changing. But for this year, I'm thinking, yeah. Carrie said, I don't think my studio will look the same. My goal is to add a bit more group teaching. Nice. I think this will be a season of big changes for us that are needed. Yeah. Minor changes, but you do like the path you're on. Yeah, we're all going to be in different places with this. As I said, this is the first year in a long time where I would give this answer of, yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be pretty similar. That's unusual for me. There are always tweaks and changes. And often when I talk to newer teachers especially, they feel like I tried to make my policies, but then I still had to change them next year, and I'm going to my third year. I still feel like I haven't got them yet. Like, you're not going to get them. There's no such thing. You need to be okay with the flow of the change each year and the tweaks that you make. You can try and keep making improvements. That's what it's all about. But you have to be okay with the fact that you're not building a building and then you're going to stop. It's something where you keep altering, you keep changing the interior decor. Maybe you add some extensions. Maybe you take some things away. Maybe you move house. It's never going to stay the same. Okay, beautiful. Those are my 8 questions for you. So we do have a little bit of time left for question time. If you have a question, do ask now. You're the word question followed by your question. It can be about anything at all. I couldn't resist this one. Some of you might have seen this before because I have used this filter one time before, but oh my gosh, isn't it the most fun? It's one of my favorites, so I had to go with it. And they've got the reindeer top on to go with him. I mean, isn't he great? Okay, I don't know why I'm saying he. She. Isn't she great with her deerstalker hat and everything? It's amazing. Okay, I saw a question before, so do let me know if you have one to add, but I'll go back to the one that came in before. So, Karen, how much more time is there to complete the survey? Oh yes, I did answer that one, right? You can still complete it in January, but I would recommend doing it now. Okay. Awesome. So if anyone else has any questions, do let me know. I know, right? It wobbles. Tanya, sorry. I should put that on screen. I love how the nose waggles. Yeah, that's what I was testing out. Look at it waggle. It's great. It's all floppy. Looks like it's made of like quilting. Okay. I could stay like this forever, but I am going to wrap it up soon. So, if you haven't filled out the survey, please do it, and please pass it on to friends. It would be so appreciated by me and also by the entire global music teaching industry, because the report sheds light on data for our industry that just doesn't exist otherwise. So please do fill that out. If there's one thing you do for me this year, I would appreciate it being that. Motif Music Studio said, done the survey, it was great and not too hard. I did need a little more practice time option. Okay, we can take a look at that next time. We do take on board any recommendations and alter it every time we do it. But, yeah, hopefully it's a good exercise for you to go through, and you can challenge. It's coming up in January on the 16th as well, because I would love to see you there. In the meantime, I'm going to stay as a snowman to wish you the happiest of holiday breaks. If you get to take some time off, I really hope you do. Please take the time to put your feet up, have a hot chocolate, enjoy the fire, whatever it is that you love to do at this time of year, because you are doing so much to help spread music to so many people. And you deserve some time for yourself. So please take it. It's going to make you an even better teacher because you'll be rejuvenated for the new year. I hope you enjoyed exploring these questions, that you continue to think them through over the coming days. And I will see you back here in about 4 weeks. So we've 3 weeks off. So about 4 weeks until our next show in the new year. I'll see you then.